Good morning and welcome. You are with the Skeinz Diaries. It is Thursday, the 12th of May. I'm Marie here on another glorious day, episode 160. How's everyone today? Feeling good? I hope you're feeling good. I'm feeling good. As you can see, a bit of attitude. I donned off a new hat for you all today. This is actually a hat that I knitted quite some time ago. Actually, many of you may remember it, the Heritage Kid mohair. And I think the colour was Dahlia. And this hat is it's actually a design that I don't have in Ravelry. But, well, it is actually. Well, it is and it isn't. This is essentially the Harding Road hat, but without the colour work. There you go, and two needle version. And I say, yes, I'm donning it, but that's all right. Don't panic. I'll be dipped in the fountain of youth tomorrow, so we'll be all back hatless next week. But there's a nip in the air here, so we've had quite a cool week here in the Bay, so it's been quite nice. I have to say, I can't complain. I've actually really enjoyed it. Been doing some work. I tend to be a morning person, so I get everything done in the morning. When I'm working at home, I do a lot of stuff in the morning, and then I try and build in some time from mid-afternoon onwards to do a bit of knitting. And now that I've got my mojo back, I have been able to do that, and I have been chewing through. Ethan and I, you may remember, Ethan and I he's just got a subscription to Acorn TV, and I have one of those as well, and I have been chewing through various shows on the Acorn, and I have to say I love it. Perfect knitting fodder. So it's been quite good. And it's just like a guilty pleasure because the things I like to watch on there are the things that my husband doesn't necessarily like to watch. And it's been nice to sort of burgle an hour or two to be able to sit down and do that. So it's been quite a treat. Haven't been able to do that for a really long time. So to that end, the sweater that I've been working on, I've shared previous with you. As you can see, we're growing. We are growing. So I'm working on the front now, but actually that looks better in that light. It's called Diamond Jubilee, the pattern at the front there. The design is called the Limerick sweater. Limerick sweater, yes, by... And it's gone. Marianne Benedetto, that's who it's from Interweave Winter 2017. So as you can see, it's chugging along. And it is a bit like, and I don't know whether you guys find this. So I'm knitting this in pieces, which I've quite enjoyed. So I knitted the back, then I knitted the sleeves, and now I'm knitting the front. And it's really funny when you go to start a new piece, whatever the piece is. It's a little bit like, I don't know whether you find this, but it is a little bit like starting a new book. And you start the new book and you've got to get a good couple of chapters in before you get into the flow of things. And this is a little bit the same. And it's really nice now because once I sort of got through the ribbing, which I love, this fabulous stretchy slip stitch rib, and it's going to have a tubular cast on. Oh, well, that's just a provisional cast on there. I'm now at the point where you don't have to look at the pattern. The pattern repeats fixed in my head for the central portion here, and I'm at that really lovely sort of cruise portion of the piece, which is great. So I've got to knit. I'll pull it out here to show you. Here's the back. So as you can see, I've got to knit this much of that portion. So I'm only up to here at the moment. Then I get this ribbing here, and then I go into a broken rib at the back, and then obviously once I hit the broken rib here for the front, I've got obviously a divide for the collar. I think it's a placarded collar. So that's where I'm at. But it's nice. I'm sort of beginning to see that I've got a wee end in sight, and I'm going to then, once I've finished this, Shoji from Nora Gowan, which is the cocoon cardigan I started last year. I've popped in a wee ziz because I had other things to do, but it's the cardigan I want to do for Can. So Knit August Nights. So I'm going to pick that back up and get going on that again. I'm about 2/3 of just over half the way through that, and I'm quite determined to get that done now, especially now that I've kind of got my mojo with that too, because I've now started getting all the can bits and pieces sorted. So on the can front, if you've already registered with Can, most people have done this, but I'm just having May to go through. I've had to rejiggy jig the program. So everyone that is booked who had to make a change, I've actually emailed direct. So if you've seen an email in there from me, or you are one of these people, check your junk mail. I have actually sent out a couple of emails in the last week with some very important information. So do check those out. And then for other people that are wanting to come to Can this year, you can check out the class list at knitaugustnights.co.nz/classes, and all the new classes are going to be there. And the remaining spaces for those classes and registrations for the event as a whole will reopen on June 1st. So you can, if you had cancelled when I had the cancellation period last year, or things have changed and you think, oh, actually, no, I can make it up to Napier for the weekend, you will be able to rebuy your registration there. Nothing else has changed, as the price hasn't changed. So everything is there. I'm looking forward to Can too, Lynn. Lynn will be there with all her fabulous yarns. So it will be really exciting. So that's what's going on. Also this morning, actually, before I jump into that, I'm just going to show you this. As I was prepping for this morning, I had the printed leaflets out from Libby, and this is Serpentine. And I've talked about Serpentine before, particularly using Southlander bulky. I think it would look fantastic in this, but I picked this up and I was looking at the back. What's great about these leaflets is she puts all the information that you need on the back of the leaflet, so you don't have to go diving into it. And I was looking at this, and she, the yarn and everything, the gauge and the needles and all the bits and pieces, I thought, oh my gosh, this worked fabulously with Kelly & Co. And I hadn't made that connection before. I just looked at that and was like, what? I'm really excited about that, to be quite honest with you, because this is a design that I've really loved. It's got this lovely cable paneling down the sleeve, a reverse stocking stitch, and in this tweedy Kelly & Co. And this is the new one. This is Jade, one of the new colours. It will look amazeballs. So if you've been struggling to find a pattern for Kelly & Co., you may already have this in your pattern library. So Serpentine. It's from the Pacifico Knits collection that she did with Marie Green. So, fabulous. So the things you stumble across, when you're looking out for other things. But what I wanted to talk about today was Perendale. And I sent out, up at the Sparrows Fart this morning, sent out my newsletter nice and early because we got quite excited, because it's been the first time in a really long time that all the Perendale was in stock. So the last one, colour, La Rosa, came in yesterday, and we got really excited about that. So 35 colours we've got in our Perendale range, which we're really proud of. We love Perendale. So history, for those who are new to us in the channel, Perendale is actually one of our flagship yarns. When Design Spun has been making Perendale DK 495 bar 3 for more than 30 years. In fact, more than it became the, even probably, I would say it would be close. It's been making it close to maybe even 50 years. It's been a long time. It's one of the original yarns. And in fact, it is the original yarn. And the reason I know it's the original yarn is the company that is now Design Spun Limited was founded. It was the brainchild of a group of local Perendale farmers, because Perendale, for those who are not from New Zealand, is a breed of sheep. It's a really good hardy breed. I think Perendales have the most beautiful faces. They've got a very, when you look at sheep, Perendales are very aquiline looking. So they're kind of the Barbara Streisand of the ovine world, and they're actually a really delightful animal, and they're beautiful, and their fibre compared to other mid to strong micron wool, it's one of the things that sets it apart is its bounce. It's really bouncy. So if you were shearing, and I remember this because my father grew Perendale, so when you were shearing with Perendale, regular New Zealand crossbred was quite easy. You'd go to pack it in the bales, it would go down into the bales, you jam all this, 130 kilos, 140 kilos into this essentially big Hessian sack, as tight as you can get it, and it would go in and you would sew it all up. And it would bounce in, and it was great. Now, Perendale, I remember this from when I was in the shearing shed as a teenager. When we shore Perendales, whoever the press person was, or press man was, it was always a man in those days, they would jam everything with the Perendale, but the fibre had so much bounce and energy to it that when they released the wool press, it literally would fly open because of just this absolute dynamic nature of the fibre. And that carries all the way through into the finished yarn. It really is quite amazing. So these farmers had this beautiful yarn, and they just felt that it was just too good not to be just consigned away to carpet yarn. So that's how Perendale started. And this yarn has remained unchanged the entire time. So 495 bar 3 was the original count. And in fact, I grabbed this one deliberately because this is the cream. So this is undyed. It has that fabulous sheepy smell. And this has been, this is how it all started. This is the Genesis yarn for us. And it's great. It is such a good multi-purpose yarn. It's not as rustic and toothy as our Southlander, or scratchy as our Southlander. So it's definitely, the micron count is a little higher. It sits around, it averages between 28 and 30 in Perendale. So whereas Southland is closer to 30 to 32. So it is a little toothier. It is, it's spun to probably the most classic count for DK ever known to man in the tech system, which is 495 by 3. It has that great combination of being able to provide good stitch definition, reliable gauge, beautiful, particularly if you're knitting errands, beautiful stitches and cabling that sit up and stand proud because of the energy within the yarn. And it is everything that you want in a really, really classic Kiwi yarn. I know for a fact many of you probably have cones of this, because we used to sell it on cone way before my time. And if you look inside the cone, it will say Perendale DK, made by Design Spun Limited in Napier. And in fact, I know this is true because I think Barbara's in here. Barbara sent me a picture of some stuff, fabulous score she got from an op shop day before yesterday, and she had a cone of Perendale. And there was like, oh my God, score! It was so good. So it is just such a wonderful yarn, and we love it and we adore it, and we don't do a tremendous number of specials on it. It's loved by our charity knitters. It's great for blankets. Look, this is 12 ply, but it's this, I love it. I should have grabbed it and put it on. I didn't even think. I've got a Miss Jane done in one of the colours. It just does everything that you want it to do. It really is just such a lovable yarn. So I thought I would have a look at some designs of things that you could do with Perendale, because it is something that you can just love. And particularly now, if you are struggling, at $3.95 a ball, this is incredible value for a locally produced yarn. So that's what I thought I would do. Hold on, I'm just going to have it. Maria's asking a yarn question about yarn substitution for a top using Rama Fulagrin light sport weight, 174 meters per 50 gram ball. What would you suggest? Right, at that meterage, I would outlaw Bohemia light all over, all day long, 174 meters per 50 grams. I don't know because that's very very close to their meterage, like almost within Kui, and that would be, I'd need to have oopsie daisies. I would need to have a look at that yarn, but it's a yarn I don't know off the top of the head. But just looking at the meterage, that's the first one that leaps to mind to me, for sure. Depends. Hold on, Rama. Let's have a quick look. No, it hasn't got it listed in Ravelry. So without seeing, that meterage, if it's saying light sport, so that says to me standard 4-ply. So just have a look at the construction of the yarn. If the yarn is quite rustic and toothy, then I would be picking yarns like Cove 4-ply, Bohemia. I'm not Bohemia, Bandit, Little Bandit, Southland Sport. If it's quite sort of rustic and toothy looking, like if it's a woolen spun, that would work quite well. Cozy would work. If it's something a little smoother and softer and looks a little smoother, then I would look at Flight Naturals Light, or even Flight Light, or Sockmatician, and Bohemia Light. And if it's very, very smooth and very fine, then I would be looking at I'd be heading in the direction of Merino Soft or Baby Bandit, or and Flight Merino Light. So yes, without snapping my eyes on it and knowing what's there. All right, let's go and jump into this. Alrighty, Perendale. So I'll just put this over here because I'll talk about that in a minute. The first thing I wanted to talk about with Perendale was, and I mentioned this briefly in the newsletter, so let me just jump into here. Parts of one does these. Here we go. So one of the things I mentioned was Stephen West. So Stephen has got a whole collection in DK yarns and beautiful bright patterns. We've all seen them. We all love them. But the downside with anything like that is the downside, and let's do this again because I screen shared the wrong thing. You don't want to see me twice. Right, let's try that again. Right, there it is. Okay. The downside is that the last thing you want to do is you want to buy 1,000,001 large skeins of yarn, which a lot of these patterns ultimately are designed for. Now, the great thing that Stephen West does is that he will have a theme of different techniques, and then he will stick to those themes again and again and again. So whether it be striping or slip stitching or mosaic or marling, whatever jag he's on at the time, he will continue to move down that theme again and again and again, which is great because you can actually learn a technique and really get into that technique and actually apply it across multiple projects, which is awesome. So the first one I'm just going to pull up is the Painting Bricks Shawl, which he's got here in 4-ply, but there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't do that in DK. And let's go back. He's got painting shawls now. I want to go back to the Painting Bricks sweater, but that whole concept uses a lot of colours across a lot of there it is. Please tell me that's in DK. I'm almost sure it's in DK. It is in DK. There it is. So this is the one I wanted to pull out. This is where Perendale is at its best, because you've got the ability, you've got a lot of colours there, and you want to be able to create a garment using a lot of colours but not having to buy loads of 100-gram balls of yarn. And with Perendale, you can actually pick out and you do as many or as little colours as you want, and it just works beautifully. And you can then start looking at some of the different options. Here's another option using just 4 colours. Amazing. This is another option that's a little bit more rustic, obviously using hand-dyed yarns. This is one that he did that was a little bit more monochromatic. You've got the ability to be, and this is to this, and I mean, there you go. I mean, you could do a painting bricks like that using navy as the colour that pulls everything together and these sorts of lighter colours in between. There are so many different options that you can do. And if you've been wanting to dye, because this is the reality, if you use yarns, especially if you're using independent yarns, it's an investment when you're actually diving into projects like this, a real investment. And, you know, we don't always have that. Now, the blankets are also the other, sorry, diving around. The blankets are also the other place to check out. Now, have I gone into, I have gone onto the sort by name, sort by, let's go, let's do that way. There we go. So there's the painting bricks blanket. So here's the beautiful thing about the painting bricks blanket. Uses DK again. And what I love about this is a scraps blanket extraordinaire. And good on Stephen for putting this out, because he knows that if you are a dedicated follower to his designs, and there are a lot of people out there, you will end up having scraps of yarn. Undoubtedly. And by creating designs like this, it allows you to actually get rid of a lot of that. But often what makes things like painting bricks work is you need to have that colour to tie everything together. So that is where something like Perendale is perfect. Perendale can be that yarn, and in this case he's used a grey here. Well, in fact, he's changed it out. Look, he's gone and used grey, and then he's gone and moved down here to a different colour. You can actually change it around, but this is where Perendale is perfect. With 35 colours, whether you start compiling yarn for this blanket from scratch, or you're wanting to pull in colours that you've got from other elements, you can. And it gives you the opportunity to be able to do that and to create these incredible projects by using partially what you've already got in stock and got at home and what you haven't. What painting rainbows? Has he done that in full ply or DK? He's done that in a full ply. There's another one that I wanted to, and I've seen this done in Perendale. I'm just scrolling. Gosh, this man's prolific, isn't he? The boy's prolific. Oh, the Dustland shawl. How many times have I talked about the Dustland shawl? That shawl is fabulous. Oh, now it's at the bubble cardigan. I think that one's in a DK. No, full ply. I know, you know, and it's one of those, you know, when you say it. Ah, there we go. Painting honeycombs. I think this is it. Yes, painting honeycombs. There we go. Here's another. I mean, wouldn't this look fabulous in Perendale? Beautiful, bright, bold colours. You can make a statement. And again, you'll be able to do the entire design in a relative, you know, I mean, you may have the yarns to be able to do the highlight colours here, but you want bold, bright colours, which is what we've got in Perendale. We've also got soft shades as well, but essentially anything in DK, in West Knits, if you're wanting to get that punch, don't forget Perendale, because I just think it is utterly, utterly perfect for it. So definitely have a look at that. Sorry, I'm just having a look over because I can't see the comments when I'm burying around. Ah, Kathy, yes, Guy did do a fantastic sweater in Perendale. He did. I remember when he picked out the colours, and it looked amazing, absolutely amazing. All right. There are other designs, though, that I think you should also consider, and I pulled out a few. These are just from what we talk about in the shop. This one here is a Hohi Locatelli done in the round. It's called Woolen Berries. It's a done in DK. It is great because it goes up from extra small to 5XL. The great thing about it is a really good everyday sweater. It's good basic shape. It is done in the round, but often, and I need to dive more into Hohi's patterns because she's one that we often forget. Her boxy sweater, I know, was a huge hit for many people, and they're very, very wearable. So she's one, actually, if you're looking for design. Sometimes I find diving vertically into a designer quite good. I mean, I've talked about Julie Hoover. I've talked about, and there's some great patterns with Julie Hoover. So have a look at juliehoover.com. Amazing. I mean, you know, I love Nora Gowan. We've talked about Stephen, but Joji Locatelli is another one to also check out. She's got a great back catalogue, very wearable, comfortable pieces. So definitely check that out. The other two patterns that I wanted to pull out is one that I've knitted and I know looks fabulous. I've knitted this in a heritage yarn that we had back in the day in a DK, and in fact the yarn was the original yarn Libby used in the pattern. I've also knitted this in vintage. I've seen it knitted in Perendale amazeballs, and that is oatmeal. In fact, I did a knit along with this probably 5 years ago, easily 5 years ago. But oatmeal, big deep V. In fact, I wore this cardigan day before yesterday, the sweater day before yesterday. It's fabulous sweater. This in Perendale, incredible. You could play around, you could put some stripes in there, you can just keep it plain. But having knit this a couple of times, I know this and Perendale are a match made in heaven. So definitely, and we have this in leaflet form. Not everybody likes to actually buy them online and download them. If you're buying these online, I always suggest that you go to trulymyrtle.com, but we do have this in leaflet on our website under our Truly Myrtle page. So do that. And of course, gingerbread. I've talked about gingerbread a lot. Gingerbread looks great in Southland DK. Cove DK would work fabulously well with this, but also Perendale and gingerbread is awesome. Any of our DKs with this would work. Definitely worth considering. I know a number of you have already got this in your libraries, so don't think that you need to get something new. Dive back into your library and see what you've got. The other thing I grabbed was my hot and handy folder from the shop, and these are our Lisa F patterns and collections, and I grabbed these because I think have I got it set up? That's a good question, Marie. If you ever want to find them in the search bar, just put Lisa F in the search bar is always a good thing. I might need to set up a separate category for Lisa, I think, if I haven't already done so. I don't think I have. No. So if you're looking for Lisa's patterns, it's actually on the website, and I'm going to show you this because I can, because I have the ability to show you these things. Believe me, we are working on having a new website. It is a constant thing with us at the moment. So bear with us while we're still with this one. Right. Okay. If you're wanting to find Lisa's patterns, you want to go here, yarn by type, and then, oopsie, yes, I know, and then down to patterns. But to be quite honest with you, I tend to do this into the search bar there and then just go Lisa F. And they should come up in a perfect world. Boom, there they are. Look at that. So these are all the leaflets we have in stock. So these are all the baby ones. But for our Perendale, we want to jump into Little Cupcakes, which is the next age bracket up. And Perendale and Little actually, to be fair, this is the Baby Cakes Ripple Blanket. This baby blankets in Perendale are great. They really are fantastic because sometimes, particularly too, if you're wanting to do a blanket for a buggy, because you can have beautiful soft fine merino blankets for swaddling for cots, but if you're heading out and you're wanting something for the buggy or something for the capsule or the like, you need something that's a little bit more durable. And this would be perfect. So this is actually a great blanket that will be ideal. So that's the Baby Cakes Ripple Blanket. So to be quite honest with you, I did knitted a number of baby blankets for my little tackers, and all of them were done in either vintage or Perendale. So, I didn't do any in merino at all. So there's a number of blankets there. There we go. Right. So I've talked about a number of these before, but what is great about these patterns once you head into Little Cupcakes is Lisa sizes them from essentially from toddler, from age 1 to 2 years, all the way through to 10 years. So it covers that gap for kids. And where Lisa is great is that she saw this gap with, there's so many patterns available for babies, and then often patterns for adults, which will size down to extra small, which will catch that sort of early teen. But there always, often we found a massive gap from 3 years to 10 years, because a lot of the baby patterns would go up to 2 years, but then that's when they would stop. And Lisa fills this gap, which is fantastic. So when you're purchasing one of these patterns, you're actually getting the sizing that will last for a really long time. And all of these, this is where Perendale is awesome, because it provides you with a good hard wearing yarn. See that pattern there, Alexander with the hoodie? Oh my gosh, ideal. Vests, hooded vests for kids, particularly active kids, are a godsend. I put my boys in vests all the way through until they were about 8 or 10 years old. And because they wanted their arms free, they were busy, they were running around. The Rosalie, that's another one that I've talked about before. And it's just perfect, absolutely perfect. This was another one that I absolutely adored as well. This one is Eugenie. And I just loved all this beautiful detailing. And whilst that you could put that on a boy or a girl, utterly beautiful, lots of texturing. Southland would look amazing. Definitely loads of fun. Now, Jelly Bean, I pulled this one up. I just thought this was so cute. Look at that. Now, this is on a little guy. Super cute. But again, this one sizes up to 7 to 8 years. And, you know, so cute. So cute. All of these are, I'm viewing this through our website, so all of these leaflets are available from us to purchase on the website. So don't, you are able to get these nice and easily. Oh, this is pretty. I haven't seen this one, Harmony. This is a new one. Oh, that's gorgeous. Is that not the cutest thing you've ever seen? That, up to 10 years. I haven't got it here, but that in the Skeinz, in the Perendale pale pink, or even actually that La Rosa, amazing. It would look so pretty. So if you're looking for things for kids, we do have these patterns. If you're sick and tired of going down a rabbit hole, do check out all of these patterns that we have online. As a rule, she writes them in pieces, so they are easy to follow. They're well written. She tests them thoroughly. And actually, if you are thinking of coming to Knit August Nights, Lisa is teaching 3 classes, brand new. I announced it to those who already registered last week. And one of the classes she is teaching is how to get the most out of these patterns. So when you purchase a leaflet for $9, how do you make that $9 go further? What sorts of things can you do to that pattern that you already have really easily to create multiple different variations and modifications to what you've already got? You know that for someone like me, that is definitely speaking to my heart. So that's what we are looking at doing with Lisa for Knit August Nights. And she will be here for an in-store as well to meet you. Oh, here we go. Look at this, Quinn, with those colours. Look at that. Perendale is perfect for that. And I can tell you right now, you could do that in papaya, cream, pale pink, and I don't know what that third colour is, just looking at it. Let's jump it. It looks like a fawn. Amazing. You could do any of those. So definitely do check that out. And it's been... Oh, have I popped the pictures up? I've been talking the whole time and the pictures didn't come up. Stop it! God, don't you hate it? There we go. Look. Oh, so you've heard me blathering on, talking about all these pictures, and you didn't get to see a thing. And that's the problem, is I do that, and I don't see the pictures from my side. Oh, man. Here we go. You'll have a good little giggle now. We'll go backwards, shall I, from what we were looking at. Little cupcakes, Quinn's sweater. Now, as I mentioned before, See the search bar just here? Put Lisa F into that search bar. That's the best way to find the patterns. We're looking at little cupcakes, which are the patterns that she designs for that group. So there, let me show you the pictures of the ones that I was looking at. So that was Quinn. I won't blather and bore you with all the other stuff. Where's the other one? Oh, there we go. This is Jelly Bean. And this is the one that there we go. Isn't that so cute? I think it's so cute. So cute. But see, look at that. Amazing. So that's the one I was referring that to. So cute. That one goes up to 8 years. This was Harmony. This was the new one that I referred to. And that in the pale pink, I think, would look beautiful. Or actually this leafy mint. And that would be amazing. So pretty. Now, the other thing too, just looking at sizings on some of these, let's jump on. This was Eugenie. This is the one that I said could go either way, quite unisex. But I'm just going to jump down with the sizing. So this goes up to 10 years. See, there we go. See, this goes up to 30 inches, 76 centimetres. Now, if you're someone who takes petite sizing, and that is actually, I know, one of the difficulties. I'm always looking for plus sizing. It's a difficulty for me. But if you're someone in petite sizing, this is actually a really good resource for you as well, because, you know, you can actually dive into some of these patterns for those petite sizes. And they're beautiful, utterly beautiful. I mean, them sized up for adult. And this was the hood. This was the Alexander hood that I was talking about. There it is there. This is the sleeveless vest. This honestly, no-brainer. It is fantastic, an absolute no-brainer. There we go. So then I just needed to make sure I showed you those photos. I love you guys too. I know, I'm shocker. Perendale is hand wash only. Yes, Perendale is hand wash only, and there is and it's because it's minimal treatment. You know, in order to make something superwash, we have to send it away. We don't put another treatment over this. We keep it as minimal as possible. But to be brutally honest with you, the beautiful thing, so the only quibble is Perendale kids garments is that they're not machine washable. So I'm going to talk about this because I'm going to bust this bubble, because I had people say to me kids garments need to be machine washable. I knitted kids garments in machine washable yarns, didn't machine wash any of them. Some people's machines will do a hand wash cycle, so particularly if it's a front loader low, and you know your washing machine better than anybody else. And I have to admit, I've got a machine like that now, and I can do that. Not that I do it often, to be fair. To be quite honest with you, will the Rosa colour be available on the website soon? Oh, I will double check. Actually, Rachel, it should be, because I think I'll check with Claire because she receipted it in yesterday. Just try refreshing out of your browser and refreshing the history to see if it shows. If it doesn't, I will check with Claire and get her to push the refresh through. But the stock arrived for this last night. So yes is the answer to that. What was I saying? Washing. I seriously, short of them puking on it, pooping on it, spewing on it, spilling raspberry cordial down the front of it, chocolate ice cream. Ice cream's a good one for kids. Ice cream and wool, you know, loads of it. The reality of it is even like if they spilt drink down this, you wouldn't want to put this in the machine anyway, because the machine cycle will not be enough to actually get this out. The most effective way is to literally stick this in a bucket with a tiny amount of wool wash, or, I mean, you could use, you don't have to necessarily use a wool wash if you've got a liquid. I just have a liquid laundry detergent. A little drop of that. You only want enough to break the surface tension of the water. So that's the entire point, is to break the surface tension of the water. And what that does is it allows the water to penetrate into the fibre, into the plies of the yarn, into your knitting, and soak in. that effect of the soaking will actually lift the stain out and move the stain away. Okay. And a good soak, a good long soak, so whether that be depending on the extent of the stain, could be a couple of hours through to overnight or longer, and you may need to spot treat if it's particularly bad, a little bit of the liquid directly to that spot, or I've used like the wands, the vanish wands. I've just dabbed that direct, if it's a bad stain, directly onto the stain, and then a soak. The soaking is all you need to do. It's the soaking, because when you're not actually washing these hand knits, you're just soaking, and then you just leave it, and you can have a bucket with 4 things in it if you want it, as long as the colors don't run. You just leave them there, and then you can just roll them out into a towel, or if you choose, you can spin it out in your washing machine, especially if you can dial your spin down. So you don't want to spin it at the highest spin, because that's when it stretches around the bowl and everything gets bent out of shape. But if you've got a machine where you can actually adjust your cycle speed on it, dial it right down to the lowest speed, which I think is about 400 RPMs, and then you can spin it out on that and then lay it out on your towel to dry. So believe me, I know people think, it needs to be machine washable. The minute even if it's a machine washable yarn, if you've got it sets the mindset of the recipient that item or garment is like a sweatshirt or a t-shirt or another item that is washed frequently. And the reality of it is hand knits don't need to be washed frequently. I've got items so this would be a classic example. This chika, I wet block this when it came off the needles, and I knit this. When did I knit this, guys? 2 years ago. I've not washed it. It's not been washed once since then, since blocking. I've got garments. I've got one sweater in particular that I made for my husband. It was made out of Southlander, and I knitted it for him. It was before I worked here, so it would be probably 18 years old, that sweater. It's now found its way into my wardrobe as opposed to his, so I wear it now. But I can tell you right now that sweater in its entire 18-year-old life has only been washed twice. Once when it came off the needles, and once about 5 or 6 years ago. So anything that is done, I just, if there is some grubbiness, great example was my Climb Every Mountain, which is done in vintage. I looked at, I flopped my lunch. For me, it's always here, because, big mouth, things fall out. I just dab it, just with water. I will literally just soak a spot treat it with a wee towel, spot treat, done. Let it dry, check it. If it's come out, good-o. Generally, it will come out. I'll just pop a towel in between the layers and then just dab with a flannel or something, and just dab with water, dab, until the stain comes out. Let it dry. And the thing that I do more often than anything else is I'll depill. I will depill my items vastly more than I'll ever wash them. So that's the one thing that with machine washable yarns is that it sets the mindset this needs to be something that needs to be washed regularly. If it is wool, it does not. It does not. So definitely do them. Sue's saying spin them in a lingerie bag or a tied closed pillowcase. Yes, great advice, Sue. Especially if you've got a higher rotating cycle, because you don't want it to go spite on the side of the bowl. Yes, and Lynn's saying, the only knitting to prepare to do a machine wash is the socks. Yeah, totally. And again, with socks, I don't know whether you do this, Lynn, but I have to admit I throw my socks into one of those lingerie bags as well. Just so it stops the little frickers getting lost. And B, it just helps, I find, keep the shape too. Right. I'm going to stop blathering because I didn't do very well today. I thought I was being organised, showing you all pictures. But what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to chase up that La Rosa for you, Rachel, and see where that is. But I definitely know it's here. So if you haven't ordered yet, hold off. And I will be back here again on Monday, hopefully with some more progress. So as I mentioned before, and in fact, I'll jump back in here and re-show you this again while I'm here, is if you're looking for the patterns, all the patterns that I've talked about today, this is Yarn by Brand. I need to set Lisa up on here, I really do. This is Yarn by Brand. We do have a Truly Myrtle tab there if you want to find any of the Truly Myrtle patterns, if you're wanting to buy them in the leaflets that we have in stock. And if you're wanting the Lisa F patterns, I just find going Lisa F in the search bar that's how, I mean, when I'm looking for them here, that's how I go to search for them. Or if you go pattern type and then patterns, this actually pulls up, I think it will pull up all the Truly Myrtles as well. It may not actually. May have been a bit naughty and actually not stuck them in here. Let's jump to the 4th page. Did I? But there we go. This is what I wanted to show you. We do also have some Rowan patterns. Most of these are for mohairs. So you've got something to knit with Whisper Fine. I haven't put the Truly Myrtles in here. Oh, yes, I have. Yes, I have. Look at me. So that is all of them. But we do have, at the end of that, there we go, we do have some Rowan patterns as well. This Union book is actually really cool. That is some classic knits, particularly suited to men or people that want those beautiful classic cabled and textured knits. But most of these are suited to our Whisper Light because people were looking for those, particularly in pieces. So there you go. Alrighty. So that sale on Perendale, good news is that sale on Perendale is running until Thursday the 21st. The other great news, definitely showing out of stock. Okay, Rachel, I'll get onto that as soon as I'm done. The other great news is the store hours here, and we are now back to our pre-COVID hours. So 10 till 3:30 on weekdays, 10 till 1 on Saturdays. So I know so many of you have been wanting to come and visit us, particularly on the Saturdays. We're now back. We've got all the team. Everything is settled. It's such a relief. So do come back and see us if you are in town. We're definitely here, as I said, 10 till 3:30 weekdays and 10 till 1 on Saturdays. Right, I'm going to get going. I've got things to do. You have a great rest of week and weekend, and I will talk to you again on Monday. See you later. Bye.